Attention passionate Washington Commanders fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Washington Commanders' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Washington Commanders fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRINDS, and Washington Commanders FANS. Let's get to the news when it comes to the NFL offseason and the buzz that's been swirling around the league. Few rumors are capturing the attention of the Commanders' faithful quite like the whispers suggesting a blockbuster move involving Chris Jones from the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Wait, Chris Jones. That's a game changer. And you're right. The idea that Washington might be in the mix for a player of Jones's caliber is stirring up a lot of excitement, especially given the current state of the team's defensive line and the strategic direction they're aiming for in the coming seasons. Let's take a moment to break down what this potential trade could mean for the Commanders, who are currently sitting at a 3-9 record, and how adding Jones might be a transformative move. The Chiefs, sitting at a balanced 6-6 but with a tight cap situation, are reportedly considering trade options involving Jones in exchange for picks and a promising defensive lineman prospect. Their focus appears to be on maintaining flexibility for future extensions, particularly for Patrick Mahomes, whose contract is rapidly approaching the $50 million per year mark. At 31, Mahomes is still at the peak of his powers, but the Chiefs seem to be making strategic moves to keep their core intact while shedding some cap space. Chris Jones, on the other hand, remains a disruptive force on the field, an interior lineman who can change games with his relentless pressure and ability to collapse the pocket. Over his career, Jones has accumulated over 80 sacks, with a PFF grade averaging around 85, which is elite in today's NFL. His pressure rate is about 15%, and he generates roughly 20 pressures per game, comparable to some of the best interior defenders in recent history. Think Aaron Donald's impact, but in Kansas City's system, Jones has been a vital part of their defensive success. His ability to disrupt the quarterback, combined with his run defense, allowing just 4-7 yards per carry in some seasons, makes him a nightmare for offensive lines. Now here's where it gets interesting for the Commanders. Adding a player like Jones could be a game changer for their defense, which has been decent but not quite elite, allowing roughly 3 points per game despite registering 20 sacks. Jones's presence would elevate their pass rush and interior run defense significantly. Imagine a front line with Jones alongside Montez Sweat and Darren Payne. Suddenly, the Commanders become a nightmare for opposing quarterbacks and running backs alike. The team's current defense, which often relies on Payne to generate pressure, would get a serious boost. Jones's ability to command double teams and draw attention from offensive lines might free up others, creating opportunities for more sacks and turnovers overall. For the Commanders, acquiring Jones wouldn't just be about immediate impact, it's about building a sustainable contender. His addition could lead to a projected decrease of roughly 4 points per game in their defense's allowed points, pushing them closer to the league's top-tier units. Plus, his impact on third-down stops and crucial moments could be the difference in tight games, especially in the NFC East, where every possession counts. Now I want to talk about the potential fit. Washington's defensive scheme has historically leaned on versatile, disruptive players who can play both the run and the pass. Jones fits that mold perfectly. His ability to generate pressure on the interior complements the edge rushers and helps create a more balanced and aggressive front. The coaching staff, led by Jack Del Rio, would likely see Jones as a cornerstone piece for their strategic plans moving forward, especially as they look to contend in the playoffs in the near future. Let's not forget the long-term implications. Jones's contract situation is a factor, but with the Chiefs reportedly considering a trade, it might be a move that benefits both sides. Kansas City could free up cap space for extensions, while the Commanders get a proven superstar who can anchor their defense for years. At 29, Jones still has several prime seasons ahead of him, and his presence would send a message across the league that Washington is serious about competing at a high level. Looking at the bigger picture, this move could also shift the balance of power in the NFC East. The Eagles have a formidable defense, but adding Jones could make the Commanders' front even more dangerous. The Cowboys, known for their defensive prowess, would face a renewed challenge if Washington secures a player of Jones's caliber. It's not just about one game, it's about establishing dominance in the division, setting the tone for future matchups and playoff battles. Of course, we have to keep in mind the challenges. The NFL is a business, and cap space is always a concern. The Commanders will need to maneuver carefully to fit Jones's contract, especially given their current financial commitments. But if they pull the trigger, it would send a clear message to the rest of the league. The Commanders are all in on winning now and building a defense that can carry them deep into the postseason. As we look ahead to the 2024 season, the expectations for the Commanders are already high. Fans want a team that can compete consistently, force turnovers, and pressure quarterbacks into mistakes. This potential move could be the spark that ignites their defense into elite territory. The addition of Jones would also serve as a rallying point for the team and the fan base, giving everyone a renewed sense of confidence and excitement. In terms of the division, the NFC East is always competitive, with the Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, and now possibly the Commanders making bold moves. The Eagles have shown their strength with a solid roster and a dynamic offense, but the NFC East's destiny is often decided at the line of scrimmage. If Washington lands Jones, they'll have a weapon capable of disrupting those division's rivals' plans, potentially making the Commanders a serious playoff threat. Now, let's talk about the impact on the team's strategy. With Jones in the fold, Washington could shift their focus to a more aggressive, attacking defensive approach. They could dial up more blitz packages, knowing they have a star interior defender who can beat double teams and collapse pockets from the inside. This would also allow the linebackers and secondary to play more freely, knowing that the front line is capable of generating pressure without as much help. It's a recipe for a defense that can cause chaos, force turnovers, and keep opponents off balance. A formula the Commanders desperately need to become a playoff-caliber team consistently. In the end, this isn't just about adding a great player. It's about making a statement. The Commanders are looking to be more than just a middling team. They want to be a force to reckon with. Jones's arrival could be the piece that pushes them over the edge, turning a promising defense into one of the league's most feared units. The NFC East is already one of the most competitive divisions in football, but with Jones in Washington's uniform, the balance of power could start to shift. It's worth noting that the crowd and the locker room would rally around such a move. A superstar like Jones energizes a team, boosts morale, and raises everyone's level of play. Fans would be excited, the players would feel motivated, and the entire organization would be sending a bold message to the rest of the league. Washington is serious about contending and not just competing. Of course, this kind of move isn't without its risks and complications. Cap management, potential injuries, and the adjustment period are all factors to consider. But if the Commanders can pull it off, it could be the kind of move that defines their franchise for years to come. It's about building a defense that can carry them deep into the playoffs, maybe even beyond, and re-establishing Washington as a powerhouse in the NFC. So, as we get closer to the trade deadline and the NFL offseason heats up, keep an eye on the rumors. The possibility of Chris Jones donning the burgundy and gold isn't just a pipe dream anymore. It's a serious storyline that could reshape the NFC East landscape. The Commanders have already shown they're willing to make bold moves. Acquiring Jones would be the ultimate statement of intent. And for us fans, that would mean a whole new level of excitement, hope, and belief that we're on the verge of something special. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Washington Commanders news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. Looking ahead, the strategic implications are clear. If Washington lands Jones, they bolster their front seven in a way that's rare in today's NFL. This addition could help them finally turn the page on a defense that's been solid but inconsistent, especially against the run and in creating pressure on quarterbacks. The NFL is a game of inches, and having a disruptive force like Jones can be the difference maker in close games, especially in the playoffs. The fan base is already buzzing with anticipation. Social media is alive with speculation, memes, and hopes that the Commanders will make a bold move. The team's management knows that to compete with the best, they need to make moves that shake the league. Bringing Jones into the fold would send a message to the division and the league that Washington is serious about winning now. It's a move that could define their 2024 campaign and beyond. And what about the long term? Well, Jones's presence not only improves the team's immediate prospects, but also sets a foundation for future success. His leadership and experience are invaluable, and having a player of his caliber in the locker room can elevate the entire unit. It's about creating a culture of excellence, demanding more from everyone in the organization, and pushing the team to reach new heights. In conclusion, the whispers about Chris Jones potentially joining the Washington Commanders aren't just idle chatter. They're a sign of how serious the team is about taking a leap forward. The NFL offseason is a time for bold moves, big trades, and strategic gambles, and this could be the move that turns Washington into a perennial playoff contender. For the fans, it's an exciting prospect, a sign that the franchise is working tirelessly to build something special. As we watch this story unfold, one thing is clear. The Commanders are positioning themselves for a future where they're not just participants but contenders, and Chris Jones could be the key piece in that puzzle. And now, Washington Commanders fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this potential blockbuster? Do you believe Jones is the missing piece that can finally push Washington over the top? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Washington Commanders. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Washington Commanders news.